What if a mother knew her child was gone, but waited 31 days to tell anyone? What if, during those 31 days, she smiled for photos, went out with friends, and marked her body with a tattoo that said, "Beautiful life"? And what if, years later, a jury said she was not guilty? This is the case that still divides the world. This is the Caylee Anthony trial. And by the end of this story, you will understand why millions still cannot accept the verdict. In June 2008, in Orlando, Florida, 2-year-old Caylee Marie Anthony vanished. Caylee could barely speak in full sentences. She loved stuffed animals. She depended on one person for everything, her mother, Caylee Anthony. But when Caylee disappeared, there was no police report, no emergency call, no desperate search. Instead, life continued. Days passed, then weeks, and Caylee was never mentioned. For over a month, Caylee Anthony told people Caylee was fine. She said Caylee was with a nanny. She said everything was under control. During this time, Caylee went shopping. She went out dancing. She entered a hot body contest. And at no point did she ask police for help. This silence would become one of the most damaging facts of the entire case. On July 15, 2008, Caylee's mother, Cindy Anthony, could no longer ignore her fear. She called 911. Her voice cracked as she spoke. She said her granddaughter had been missing for weeks. She said Caylee's car smelled like death. She said her daughter kept lying. That call triggered an investigation that would soon capture global attention. Caylee Anthony was arrested, and when police started asking questions, the stories began to unravel. Caylee told detectives that Caylee had been kidnapped by a nanny named Zenaida Gonzalez. Police searched for this woman. She did not exist. Caylee said she worked at Universal Studios. Police walked her into the building. She led them through hallways until she finally admitted she had never worked there. Lie after lie, each one bigger than the last. Investigators noticed something else. Caylee showed no panic, no visible grief, no urgency to find her child. Public suspicion exploded. As the case dominated the news, photos of Caylee partying while Caylee was missing spread everywhere. To many viewers, her behavior felt impossible to understand. How could a mother act like this? Talk shows debated her guilt nightly. Online forums filled with rage. But suspicion alone would not be enough. Police needed evidence. And then, 6 months later, they found it. In December 2008, a utility worker found human remains in a wooded area less than a mile from the Anthony family home. The remains belonged to a small child. Dental records confirmed the truth. It was Caylee Marie Anthony. Her skull was found with duct tape near the mouth area. Her body had been placed inside trash bags and a blanket. The investigation became a murder case, and the consequences became severe. In 2010, prosecutors charged Caylee Anthony with first-degree murder, aggravated child abuse, and aggravated manslaughter. They believed Caylee was killed so Caylee could live without responsibility. If convicted, Caylee could face the death penalty. The trial was scheduled for 2011. The world prepared to watch. The courtroom was packed every day. Prosecutors painted a picture of a selfish mother who used lies, manipulation, and deception to hide a crime. They suggested Caylee was drugged with chloroform and suffocated. The duct tape became a symbol of guilt. But the defense was ready with a shocking counterstory. Caylee's defense claimed Caylee's death was an accident. They said Caylee drowned in the family pool. They accused Caylee's father, George Anthony, of helping cover it up. They argued that Caylee had grown up in fear and abuse and learned to lie as a survival tool. The courtroom was stunned. This was no longer just a murder trial. It was a family tragedy on display. Despite the emotion, the prosecution faced a major problem. They could not prove how Caylee died. There was no clear cause of death, no fingerprints on the duct tape, no DNA evidence directly linking Caylee to murder. The defense reminded jurors of one rule: if there is reasonable doubt, you must acquit. And doubt was growing. After weeks of testimony, the jury began deliberations. Outside the courthouse, crowds waited. Most people believed a guilty verdict was certain. Then, on July 5, 2011, the verdict was read. Caylee Anthony was found not guilty of murder, not guilty of manslaughter, not guilty of child abuse. The courtroom fell silent. Outside, people screamed in disbelief. Many felt justice had failed, but legally the case was over. Caylee Anthony was released days later. She did not attend a public funeral. She did not publicly mourn. In rare interviews, she continues to claim innocence. The public remains unconvinced. Polls show most people still believe she is responsible for Caylee's death. The Caylee Anthony trial is not just about guilt or innocence. It is about doubt, about proof, about what the justice system can and cannot do. So ask yourself, was the jury right to follow the law? Or did the truth slip through the cracks forever? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more true crime stories that challenge what you think you know, subscribe. Because sometimes the verdict is not the end of the story.